Well, hello, King Cheerio 85 here. So this is part 6 of my Link's Awakening remake playthrough, and I've decided to do something different. And instead of just listening to me ramble on and on, try to make whatever wisecracks or little side comments I can while you watch the gameplay. Instead, how about I do something that is, at least in my opinion, a bit more entertaining and read some D&D stories. Now these are from the subreddit DnDstories. And our first story here is from Code Bagel Bro. I broke the roleplay by rolling high in performance and making up a song. I'm in a D&D group, more like a family Discord server that was formed from one that wasn't the right fit for us. We've only been together for maybe a week and we all know each other so well. We've laughed, we've cried, we've helped each other. Tonight was only one example. The cast. Me. Theraval Nilo. Wood Elf Monk. We were role-playing our characters who have been moved to an alternate timeline for a while now. Most of us are still reeling with the implications and worried about a number of things. Family members, possible danger, the normal. Enter the Necrochild. This sweet young elf child that Theraval and everyone treats like a daughter/granddaughter. She has spent a lot of her time helping those who were hurting, doing her best to help them in any way she could. One night in the tavern, she finally broke. She walked off and tried to hide, but even with her magical darkness, one of us were able to find her. From there, everyone did their best to cheer her up. At one point, I decide I'm going to try and sing to her. Rolling with disadvantage since I was making this up on the spot, and a +2 to charisma, I was lucky to roll an 18. I then spent 12 minutes writing this song, worrying over every little detail because I had never done anything like this before. When I posted it, everything stopped. People were crying, we were all hugging, and later on we learned that through the combined efforts of everyone, we saved a life. Here is the song that I made. I hope you enjoy. Not gonna try and sing this since there's no music sheet. There's no music sheet here for me to get any type of tune to go with it, so I'm kind of hoping it reads well as a poem. Sweet child, little child, know we are here. Please always know that you have our ear. We'll be here for you till the end of all days because you're special in numerous ways. Warmness, happiness, joy of all times. Getting to meet you was a welcome surprise. You bring us youth through all of your actions. You keep us on our toes with your reactions. You are a treasure worth more than a dragon's hoard. We will protect you with our might and much more. We'll be here always, so don't you dare frown. We will always love you and protect our hometown. And I'll be here for a long little while, so please, oh dear little one, please give us a smile. Wow, all I can say, OP, that was impressive to do that on the spot, holy crap. Alright, and down in the comments we've got this next story from Scorpius. Apologies, this is long, but your post reminded me of something from one of my campaigns. In the first campaign I was in, my character was a fire wizard named Delkesh. He was young, arrogant, brash, until one particular day. The party was in High Moon, just passing through, but we went to shop for magical armor because Squishy Wizard. Makes sense. He met a very cute human shopkeeper enchanter named Lily. However, Lily didn't like his arrogant demeanor and promptly jacked up the price until Delkesh left. Isn't that always the case? However, before leaving, I told the DM I wanted to roll insight to see if I could ascertain what she might actually be interested in. rolled like a 23 or something. Wow, okay. DM tells me that based on the decor and such in the room, this girl has a definite affinity for elven things. So out walks Delkesh. A quick alters self outside, and in walks Nelkesa, the tall, black-haired, rough-and-tumble elf ranger. Lily is almost immediately smitten with this man. End up getting the enchanted armor for a discount and a date with Lily the next day. My fellow players were going crazy because Delkesh had never even been talked to by a woman aside from his friend in the party who'd been at the Mage Guild with him, much less gotten a date with one. Later that night, one of the NPCs we were traveling with noticed that someone stole something from one of our party members and went to steal it back. The guy who stole it happened to be the leader of the Thieves Guild. Well, to retaliate for stealing our party member's cloak of invisibility, she stole his ring. Cue the "we might want to leave immediately" scramble. However, Delkesh couldn't leave Lily in the lurch. He wasn't about to do that. So he went back as Nelkesa and told her he had to change his plans and would come back another time. She was immediately distraught and went back to the back room and slammed the door. We leave town and ride far enough to safely make camp. The next morning we leave and make it to Selgaunt that evening. In Selgaunt, we find out from Lily's brother that she'd hung herself earlier that day because of Nelkesa's rejection. Luckily, we had a resurrection potion on hand, but we had to get there within 24 hours, which meant we only had about 12 at this point. Delkesh talks to his best friend in the party, tells him the situation, and hauls ass to get to High Moon in time to still be able to resurrect Lily. Everyone is expecting him to try to make some sort of attempt to win her back as Delkesh or something, but I knew that at this point Delkesh was a changed person. He wanted to bring her back because he knew the world was a worse place without her. Not for himself, but for the world as a whole. So he went in and found her body in the morgue, fashioned some rudimentary clothes for her, thank the gods for fabricate, and gave her the potion. As he waited for her to come back to consciousness, he left a letter and a second item on the bed next to hers and cast invisibility on himself. I had the DM read the letter, which I hadn't sent to any of my fellow players, and by the end of it, he was choking up. Fairest Lily, you may or may not remember me, but as long as I live, I will forever remember you, and the pain I caused you due to my selfish actions. A few days ago, you met a mage who came into your shop, an arrogant and brash individual who sought to purchase wares from you and tried to negotiate a lower price from a position of arrogance. You turned him away, and rightly so. A few moments later, an elven man named Nelkesa entered your shop and also negotiated with you for the same items at a cost. And you were persuaded by him, and eventually fell smitten with him. Alas, this was all an unfortunate and cruel turn of events portrayed upon you, for this oafish and boorish mage and the graceful elf are one and the same man. It was I, Delkesh Valkyrian, who caused you such pain, and for that I am forever remorseful. I was so intent on procuring the items I required that I used my powers to deduce what form would allow me to have the most success in bargaining with you, and transformed myself as such. 'Twas never my intent to harm you in any way, but in my selfish ambition for power, I allowed myself to take actions which led to the events of this day without once thinking of the consequences. For that, I will never forgive myself. I do wish for you to know, however, that although my intent was selfish and deceitful at the start, I never once lied to you in spoken word. I was truly impressed with your skills as an enchanter. The creativity and intelligence you possess in creating the enchantments you make is beyond what I have ever encountered. It is also true that I had to flee the city today. One of my associates took actions which put our group in mortal peril, and we had mere moments to escape before we could be caught and killed. My last action in the city was to come to see you. I wished you to know that it was not my intent to leave, and that I truly did want to spend more time getting to know you. In fact, it was due to my fleeing the city that I learned of what had become of you. Our party had fled to Selgaunt, and as we were browsing the wares in the marketplace, we came upon your brother's blacksmith shop. He received a letter telling him of your death moments after we met him. Upon hearing this news, I knew I had no choice but to put forth all my efforts to make things right. This is why I have come here now, and it is also why you will not see me again. You are a brilliant young woman whose intelligence is only matched by her beauty, and the land of Faerun is a better place for having you. I only wish that I had been honest with you from the start. Nay, better still that I had never met you, and thus spared you the entirety of the pain I have caused. You deserve a far better man than I will ever be. I will never ask you to forgive me my actions. This kindness I do not deserve. All I ask is that you continue to be a symbol of beauty and joy and hope for the people who live in these dark times. Your spirit will give many the strength to face the darkness that is sweeping over this land. In my studies, I have come across many ancient dialects and writings, many of which have been lost to time. There is a phrase in one such dialect which reads, Ilium inter spinas. It's a phrase that describes how one singular example of kindness and love can shine through a world of pain and darkness. The translation of this phrase best reads as, the lily among the thorns. I believe that even in antiquity, in a language which has been long forgotten, this phrase was speaking of you. May the stars watch over your steps and be the light which guides you, Lady Lilium. Farewell. Everyone in the party was silent as I explained what the second item was. A freshly cut lily wrapped in thorns. Yeah, the party decided to take a break after that, LOL. Our next Reddit post is from Jaguar Hunter. When the party of Lynx almost saved the bad guy on accident. So I play Pathfinder with my friends, and we are in a party with different renditions of Link from the Legend of Zelda series. Well, except for me. I am ill-informed about Link, because I have only played part of one game. Anyway, so we're facing off against a vampire boss, and my party goes in. I play a solar sorcerer with a few hidden tricks, so I spend my time partially healing and nuking the opponent with fire. Well, I recently hit level 15 and added planner shift to my arsenal. I tried to planner shift the vampire away from us, and she passed the save DC, just to later get taken over by a giant hair monster. The DM's original plan when we got her to low HP. The monster explained that she needed a body and thanked us, which made me think to myself, 15 minutes ago I almost saved the bad guy and sent her away, which would have left me in the middle of my party of barbarians and fighters in a closed-off section of the map trying to explain that I didn't mean to save the bad guy. But thank God for I will saves, am I right? Yeah, that wouldn't have been a good one, OP. That would not have been good at all. I can only imagine the look on the DM's face had that managed to go through. Oh, man, it probably would have been pissed. Oh, God. Our next Reddit post is from HTez. Oh boy, I have been DMing one of the most wild and chaotic campaigns I have ever participated in for about 2 years now. And let me tell you, it is full of amazing moments and stories. We had a party member die in the sewers because he was too busy arguing with the other party member about who got to keep the troll wee-wee. A woefully misguided cleric who mistook his augury woe omen to mean he should incinerate a child, and my personal favorite, the events that transpired at the Point A residence on one fateful evening. For some background, the party was investigating some strange happenings on a small island just west of their current location. There were rumors of undead dogs roaming around the island, scaring some of the locals. Of course, the party at the time included 2 holy paladins and a fire cleric, so needless to say, they jumped on the idea of purging the undead. During their investigations, they discovered dozens of undead dogs aimlessly wandering about the island. While unsettling, they were completely harmless. Curious as to where all these dogs were coming from, as the number of dogs seemed unreasonably large for such a small island, and what was raising them. Through some more sleuthing, they found a large abandoned mansion in the middle of the forest. They entered and found hundreds of undead dogs roaming about. Through some detect good and evil, they found a particularly foul stench coming from upstairs. They found a very old, very senile lich who clearly had an obsession with dogs. He was mostly incoherent and, luckily for the party, not interested in fighting them. After a lengthy, frustrating, and confusing dialogue with the lich, the party managed to find out that the lich had risen a very particular dog by the name of Kenny, who was a very large, 2-headed dog that was noticeably aggressive. He had started attacking some of the other dogs, turning them aggressive and driving them away from the mansion, where they had previously always stayed. Realizing that the party was no match for the lich, they surmised that if they killed Kenny, the dogs would return to the lich and leave the townspeople alone. This is where the fun begins. The party heads to the south of the island, where they encounter a very busy, bustling port town that was noticeably more wealthy than the rural north side of the island. One of the key features of this town was a very beautiful, elegant, southern-style white mansion sitting atop a hill with a large white picketed fenced yard sitting in the middle of town. They inquired to the townsfolk about the mansion and gathered that it belonged to one Madame Poignet, the esteemed Duchess of Dogs. Wealthy people from all over the region flocked to Poignet for her prestigious dog pedigrees. The large population of dogs started to make sense, so they figured they should ask the madam some questions. The 2 paladins from the Holy Order of Foltus, the Drizzler twins, and the cleric Ignatius Linxa approached the security gate to the manor and managed to convince the guards they were there to talk to the madam about supporting the Order of Foltus. The guards buy into it and let the 3 in. The swashbuckler, Fang Frangler, and the gunslinger, Theophilus B. Davis, figured they would not fit into this ruse since they had no holy clothing. The original plan was for these 2 to hang back at the tavern and wait for the diplomacy to take place. This, of course, did not happen. While the party of 3 was getting the grand tour from Madame Poignet, the party of 2 decided that they should sneak in the back of the manor by hopping the fence and avoiding security personnel. With a small series of very successful stealth rolls, they managed to sneak up to the manor and pick open a side door that led to the basement. The original party of 3 has absolutely no idea what is going on. Meanwhile, upstairs, the diplomatic talks are going very well. Both the Drizzlers and Madame Poignet are of high society and high elf lineage. One of the Drizzler twins was trying very hard to woo the Duchess and was doing a spectacularly poor job. However, this was counteracted by his twin brother, who was seemingly playing off of his poor brother's incompetence, had the madam quite interested. Through various charisma checks and witty jokes, the night was progressing quite smoothly for the upstairs group. As for the downstairs group, things were not going quite as smoothly. As they entered the basement, it was a very long hallway with around 6 doors on each side, with a spiraling staircase that led to the main floor and upstairs of the manor. They started to hear footsteps coming down the staircase and quickly hid in one of the side rooms to avoid being seen. In each of the rooms was crates on top of crates containing various dog breeds. The dogs, of course, excited by the new visitors, started barking very loudly, provoking one of the guards to check the room. In a Scooby-Doo-esque move, the two nitwits managed to leave through a second door leading to the same hallway the guard was leaving to enter the room the party of two were previously in. They are now panicking as they hear the door they had entered the basement from the outside start to open. Back to the upstairs group, more schmoozing and more wine later, both paladins are landing critical success after critical success in the talks with the madam. And she is now very interested in showing the two a private tour of her personal chambers. Ignatius, the cleric, uses this time to slip away from the escorts and start to rifle through her personal belongings in her office to get more information, as the group had strongly suspected she was hiding something. As this is all happening upstairs, simultaneously downstairs, the wrecking crew of two get themselves into some deep doo-doo. As they hear the door swing open, they sprint for the upstairs, hoping to avoid being seen. As they bolt towards the stairs, they run into another guard coming down the stairs at the same time. Big trouble. The gunslinger, who is fairly charismatic, tries to talk his way out of the situation, as there is now one guard in front of them and two behind. Critical fail. Plan B. The gunslinger panics, pulls out his sniper rifle, puts it to the guard's temple, and bang! Completely miss the guy's head. Wow. A very loud echo rings throughout the manor. The alarms are triggered and guards start pouring inside of the manor. Well, so much for that stealth. Upstairs, the thirsty paladin brothers, who are quite looking forward to the events that are about to transpire, hear a loud noise coming from the basement, and sirens start just as they were opening the door to the madam's personal quarters. Drex Drizzler lets out a heavy, defeated sigh, looks at his brother, who sadly nods back as they protect the madam and escort her out of the building. With them out of the manor, only 3 remain. As the alarm sounds, Ignatius is confronted with a guard bursting through the door with weapon drawn. Ignatius looks at him with an expressionless stare, blinks twice, and does what he does best: incinerate him into a pile of ash. The issue is, Ignatius is exceedingly obsessed with fire and very rarely knows when to hold back. He conjures the biggest fireball he can and drops it on this poor man's head in the completely wooden house. It's not long before everything is on fire. The 2 downstairs have been fending off guard after guard, and things are getting noticeably more smoky. They do some crafty maneuvers and slip away from the guards. The smoke is getting quite bad, and the 2 start to realize that the manor is on fire. Without missing a beat, the 2 of them start literally grabbing handfuls of dogs and are running them out of the door. The cripple with a handgun decides to guard while the rogue does the running. They manage to get a good 18 dogs out of the door before they can hardly breathe with all of the smoke. I congratulate them. Now only 108 more to go. Oh boy. I describe in unpleasantly graphic detail of how these poor dogs that are trapped in their rapidly heating metal cages are slowly suffocating and burning to death. The cacophony of yelping dogs is enough to make even Asmodeus cry. The party's got to learn about consequences somehow. That's OP. That's definitely one way to teach them consequences. The ragtag team of dog rescuers decide to cut their losses and escape while they can, as they are really pushing their luck. As they are running for the door, a giant beam collapses, blocking their path. Uh-oh, things aren't looking good. The stairs to go up had already also collapsed several minutes ago. Their last option is a heavily locked steel door immediately to their left. As a last-ditch effort, the rogue manages to pick the intricate lock under immense time pressure from the welling smoke fills the room, and they manage to get in it. They are free from the smoke for now, as the air in this very large room is clear for the moment. However, they are now standing in a very large cubed room, roughly a 50 by 50 by 30 foot. In the middle is chained an immensely large two-headed dog, with teeth the size of most men and soulless red eyes. Theo looks at Fang and says, "I'm willing to bet that one's Kenny." The large death dog lashes out at the two, pressing them against the wall, but is thankfully stopped by an immensely large chain. Things aren't over yet, as several guards come pouring into the room as they too were trying to escape the fire. They spot the two party members and start running towards them. The gunslinger looks at a very hurt rogue, takes his last bullet, and aims it at the chain restraining Kenny. The bullet perfectly severs the chain, unleashing the beast upon the guards. It doesn't take very long, and the two party members manage to hide from the wrath of Kenny. Smoke now begins to pour into this room, which sends Kenny into a frenzy as he now starts ramming himself repeatedly into the wall. After several meaty thuds, the walls start to crack and sunlight enters the chamber as the roof partially caves, filling the corner of the room with grass and dirt. Kenny climbs out of the room, as does the party of two. They exit to find a broken Madame Poignet in tears and sneak out before any authorities see them. Remarkably, no one is able to connect the fire to the party, as any of the guards who saw them are dead. Well, I mean, at least that was taken care of. That was interesting. The entire party now leaves together to an inn. Many scarred, both physically and mentally. Very little talking or eating is done, as many simply opt to go to sleep or try to forget the atrocities that were committed this day. Somehow, every single one of them forgot that there was a giant death dog on the loose. Even after I described to the two people sleeping closest to the window of the inn that they hear very audible screams coming from the streets. They awaken the next day to a very desolate town as several dozens of people lay dead in the streets, and the rest barricading themselves in their buildings. The party wakes up, goes out, and deals with Kenny accordingly. And to top everything with a sour cherry, the party members are praised as heroes for defeating the demon dog. Needless to say, many of the members were displeased with the praises and got the hell off that island as fast as possible. That concludes one of the most wild sessions I have ever been a part of. The whole thing ran like a genuine Shakespearean tragedy. One thing's for certain, the Lich's mansion got much more crowded after that day. Wow, I didn't even know what to say about that one. That just kept getting more and more insane as it went on. Like, I mean, yeah, I have been a part of sessions that, like in the limited amount of time I've played, I've been a part of sessions that just continued to up the ante as far as craziness due to how much the DM was allowing you to get away with, and how much the players just kept pushing things further away from what was supposed to be the established storyline. And some of those, like, they can get nuts, but this was just, oh wow. Like those two probably wish they had stayed. By the time they were halfway through that, those two probably just wish they had stayed at that inn, just drinking the night away, while the other three handled everything. Oh man, it would have turned out much better for Madame Poignet, had they. But anyway, that was r/DnD stories, and I will see you guys over in the next one. Bye bye. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can check out past videos here, or you can click here to check out my newest upload. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to stay notified on all future videos.